Alright, I finally made my decision.
On what?
I've come up with a replacement for the fog that I'm finally happy with.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mentioned this to you a while back. As much as I loved my grandfather, calling it the fog, it really only describes a fraction of the things we've seen. Now, these weird phenomena may not all be connected, but they're all equally weird. So I wanted a more all-encompassing term.
That makes sense. So what'd you come up with?
Well, while you spent the last 2 months researching dreams, I've been doing research of my own. Mostly thinking about the fog and what it could be and what else we could call it. I initially wanted to call it the anomaly, something outside of the norm. But we've seen so many weird things now, it almost feels like its own kind of normal. So anomaly was out. Then I considered essence, but that was too poetic.
Would have been good if you were making a perfume.
For a while, I thought pretty strongly about incongruity or incongruence, things that don't mix, since a lot of cryptids seem like weird hybrids, but it doesn't really describe everything we've dealt with. Plus, it's just kinda a mouthful.
Yeah, no argument here.
Eventually, I finally settled on one I'm happy with. Enigma, with an A. A mystery, which I think does a pretty good job at summarizing everything we've seen so far.
Yeah, it sure does. But what do you mean with an A?
At the beginning, A-E-N-I-G-M-A, it's a more archaic spelling. Plus, I don't know, it just looks a little cooler.
I suppose it does. Enigma. Enigma? Enigma?
I don't know, we can just pronounce it normally.
Well, I like it. I feel fancier already.
Thank you. Now, in renaming it, I've also been trying my best to get a better sense of what it really is. So to do that, I've been trying to summarize the different types of weird shit we've seen so far. The different traits or characteristics of the enigma, so to speak.
Okay, cool. Let me hear it.
So, obviously the big one. Cryptids. Monsters, weird f***ing animals, whatever you want to call them.
Of course, that is the big one.
It's been hard trying to find similarities among such a diverse group, but I've found 2 common threads. The first is, a lot of cryptids seem to be creatures that should be extinct. Or descendants of creatures that should be extinct.
Right. The plesiosaurs, the thunderbird, some of the creatures from your grandpa's journals.
Yeah, exactly. The other commonality is kinda nebulous, but it's something I've decided to call genetic osmosis.
I like Osmosis Jones.
Shut up. No. Basically, it's the fact that a lot of cryptids seem to have weird mixes of traits from different animals. Like how the Ozark howler was a bear with horns. Mishi was a cat with antlers.
And the Piazza was, well, a whole bunch of things.
Yeah. This would also apply to the creatures that seem to be half human, or at least the ones that walk upright. Sasquatch, Goatman, the Ichthyanthropes.
The lycanthropes.
Yep. I don't know how the Enigma does it, but it seems like something that affects cryptids on a biological level.
So, like, mutations?
Yes, mutations. Only cryptids are mutating way more extremely than anything that should be scientifically possible.
Okay, the Enigma causes mutations. So then it's like smoking? Gamma rays? Wait, can it give us cancer?
I honestly don't know. I don't want to bore you, but mutations can be caused in a lot of ways. I mean, for one thing, it's a normal process of evolution. Then there's radiation, yes, like gamma rays, carcinogens, chemicals, viruses, even some bacteria.
Bacteria? Oh, so the fog could just be like midichlorians?
What?
Never mind. Please, go on.
Besides cryptids, the other main aspect of the Enigma that we've encountered has been the ways in which it affects the brain.
The fog. I mean, the way that your grandfather meant it.
Yeah, not being able to see cryptids. And also the fact that some people seem to have, well, powers. Me, my grandfather, Quentin. And since they all seem to be connected to cryptids in some way, I feel safe in saying that's part of the Enigma as well.
Wait a minute. You're a mutant!
Wow, that's a real confidence booster.
Come on, you ever read X-Men? Mutants are awesome.
I'm not a mutant!
You said the Enigma causes mutations. You don't think your powers have a biological origin?
Yeah, they probably do. Also, don't forget, whatever the Enigma is, it's not strictly biological. We can't film cryptids, for one. Then there's that numbers station and Polybius.
Right.
All I can say for sure is that the Enigma's f***ing weird, and I'm not really any closer to understanding it.
At least it has a cool name now. In the past 2 months we had spent dealing with the Lucid Man, we had also slowly drifted east. We weren't heading anywhere in particular, we just wanted to spend our time in different places. Now, by the time we were done with the Lucid Man, we were in Minnesota, and at this point we had decided to head for Wisconsin, where there had been news of some kind of cryptid sighting. It wasn't much to go on, but it would only be a day's drive. And if there had been a cryptid in the area recently, the odds were better that we would find it. Hey, you know what?
What?
Judging from the map, we're gonna be close to Escanaba, Michigan. Well, close-ish.
Escanaba?
Mishapeshu. Catsquatch? David.
Oh, right. What does that have to do with anything? He thinks we're full of shit.
He does, but what if we could convince him otherwise?
What do you mean?
Well, now that you gave all this weird cryptid stuff a fancy new name, what do you say we do some experiments? We know he can't see cryptids, but how far does that go? Like, what would happen if he held Fritz in his hands?
I have no idea. That's a really good question.
I get good ideas on occasion. Not to mention, I would love to get him off my case. Every time I post on Monsters Den, he shows up to call me a liar. It is exhausting. And if we could find a way to prove this stuff to him, that would certainly make my life easier.
Yeah, he kind of hates us. What makes you think we could even get him to talk to us again?
Leave that to me. So, I gave our old friend David a call. Hey, David.
What do you want?
I have a proposition for you. Now, before you say anything, I know you think we're liars.
Got that right. You're faker than Sasquatch Sammy.
Ouch. Ignoring that for a minute, you do still believe in cryptids, right?
Yeah, some of them.
Well, we are heading to an investigation near you. There's been some kind of sighting just a few hours south. How would you like to join us?
So what, you can mess with me again?
No pranks. I can send you a link to the article I found. It just happened, so there aren't many details, but we're not making it up. Listen, what if I bet you $100 that we can change your mind about us?
$100? Seriously?
Seriously. And I'll pay your gas money to drive down there, regardless of the bet.
Fine. Where are we going?
We were going to meet in West Bend, Wisconsin, a city just north of Milwaukee and a few hours south of David's home in Escanaba. By the time we got into town, I had found a more detailed report. It wasn't a sighting, exactly. There hadn't been any witnesses, or at least none that came forward, but what had been discovered was a set of tracks. Large, possibly humanoid, and not belonging to any known creature. We got settled in, and a few hours later, David finally arrived.
David! Good to see you again.
Hi.
So, besides going out into the field, we actually asked you down here for another reason. We wanted to try something.
What? What are you talking about?
An experiment. Do you see Fritz here?
Jesus, already? I knew coming here was a mistake.
No, I'm sorry. Please, hold on.
Close your eyes.
What?
Please.
I swear to God, if I end up with whipped cream in my face or some other stupid prank shit, I'm out of here.
You won't. We're serious. I promise.
Fine.
Now, Hold your hands open in front of you and don't move. We have a pet. I'm going to put her in your hands. And don't worry, she's not dangerous.
Excuse me?
Well?
What is this? A rat? A ferret?
Oh my god.
You can feel her? Really?
Yes, obviously. Wait, where did it come from? You weren't holding anything. Was it hiding in one of your shirts?
No. Can you hear her?
What? Oh. No, actually, I don't hear anything.
Huh. Alright, open your eyes.
Ah! What the hell? What was that thing? Where did it go?
Still can't see her, huh?
No. Well, for a split second I saw something. Almost like an afterimage. Like when you get spots on your eyes after looking at a light. But then it was gone.
Interesting.
That was our pet tatzelworm, Fritz. She's still here. I'm holding her.
Look at his hands. Does it just look like he's holding air?
I can't. Every time my eyes try to focus on them, they just sort of move to something else.
Very interesting.
Do you believe us now?
I don't know what to believe.
After running some more tests like that with David and Fritz, we finally called it a night and went out for dinner. Considering that he had spent the better part of the last year and a half campaigning against us online, David was still a little cold towards us. I know it's hard to change feelings like that overnight. But at least he didn't think we were frauds anymore, so that was nice. We decided we would meet back up in the morning and begin our investigation for real.
Okay, judging from the map, the tracks should be around here somewhere.
Found them!
Those certainly came from some big, feet. David, can you see the tracks?
Yes, I can see the tracks.
Sorry, not trying to be patronizing, just wanted to make sure.
These are gigantic.
They definitely look humanoid. Sasquatch?
Maybe.
Bigger than any tracks I've heard of. What's the measurement on it?
26 inches long.
Should we make a cast?
Where would we put it?
Right.
Do you mind? I'll take it.
Okay, plaster cast it is. So, we mixed up the plaster and poured it into the best looking of the tracks. While we left the plaster to dry, we continued deeper into the woods.
Okay, so I listened to the first few episodes of your podcast when they first came out. If cryptids really exist, why the hell can't I see them? You called it the mist or something?
The fog. Yeah, that's what my grandfather called it. Although we've actually just started calling it the enigma. We still don't know how it works, but however it works, most people just can't see them.
Which would explain why people don't think they exist.
Exactly.
My grandfather also said it was like a blind spot. Like when Lucas was holding Fritz and you couldn't even look at his hands.
That's f***ed up, man. I could walk right up to a Sasquatch and not even see it.
Yeah, sorry.
Maybe it's like a defensive mechanism. Maybe we evolved to not see these things so people wouldn't be tempted to mess with them.
That's not a bad theory, actually. Certainly as plausible as anything else we've come up with.
But it's not like they're all dangerous. They're just weird animals, mostly.
It was just an idea, man.
Of course. I'm just thinking out loud.
I guess since I can't see cryptids, you'll have to let me know if you find one. Maybe I'll just close my eyes and stick my hands out and walk into it.
Oh, yeah. Let's open a cryptid petting zoo. A blind petting zoo. You can touch our animals, but you have to go in blindfolded.
Oh yeah, great idea.
We continued our trek through the woods when Mia suddenly stopped. What is it?
That was weird.
What?
I think I sensed something, but this time it felt, I don't know, familiar?
Familiar? Like, what, it's something we've seen before?
I don't know. Maybe it's just weird, but it's close.
You can't be serious. You're psychic too?
I'm not psychic.
Sorry, she gets really touchy about the terminology sometimes. What are we calling your powers now? Magic brain radio waves?
Shut up.
But yeah, they're real. Sometimes she can sense that a creature is nearby, feel its emotions. She's used it to track them down.
This is insane.
We started to follow Mia's lead, but we soon found ourselves going in circles.
Real effective powers you got there.
Yeah, Mia, I hate to say it, but are you sure you felt something?
Yes, it's just...
Just what?
Oh, duh, that's it!
What?
If this is another Sasquatch, we could have passed it already. Not even seen it.
Oh, right.
What?
Bigfoot is, like, super good at camouflage.
Of course it is.
Alright, quiet. Give me a minute. We mean you no harm. Everything is okay. We just want to see you. You're safe.
Is she talking to it?
It worked last time.
If it is related to Sasquatch, it'll probably hide unless it knows we don't pose a threat.
And how would it know that?
I projected safe thoughts, good vibes, or maybe it just senses our intentions the same way I do. I'm not sure.
Well, did it work?
Let's find out. Holy shit.
Whoa.
What?
It's right in front of us. Right there.
For real? You're not f***ing with me.
I swear, we're serious.
It's huge. What now?
Thank you for appearing to us.
We had found the creature. It did look similar to Bigfoot, but it was at least a few feet taller. And not just taller, it was heavier too. Comparing Bigfoot to this thing was like comparing a normal person to an NFL player. Once it appeared, it stared at us in silence for a few moments before turning around and heading off into the woods. After that, we thought it seemed best not to follow. So we returned to the site of the tracks and helped David carry the plaster cast back to his car.
So that was crazy.
It usually is.
I still don't know how to feel about all this, but I believe you. And thanks for the cast.
Of course.
Sorry again that you can't actually, see them.
That's okay. I mean, I'm pissed I'll never be able to see one with my own eyes, but at least I know they're really out there. That's something.
It sure is.
Thanks for coming down here.
Well, thanks for convincing me to come. Take care, you guys.
You too. After we said our goodbyes with David, we returned to our rooms. I hit the books to see if I could find any other sightings. Well, it was mostly the internet, but you get what I mean. I think I know what we saw.
Yeah?
The Dewey lake monster.
Lake monster?
It was seen around a lake, not in a lake.
Okay. I'm listening.
So, the story comes from Dowagiac, Michigan, 1964. News came out of a few sightings, and that summer, people flocked to the area looking for it. The creature was reportedly 10 feet tall and weighed 500 pounds. Some people came forward with photographs and plaster casts, but obviously there was nothing definitive. And here is the one drawing of it I could find. It's just covered in hair.
That sure does look like our creature.
Yeah. It's also been referred to as the Michigan Bigfoot and the Sister Lakes Sasquatch.
God, people are terrible at naming these things.
As always. It looks like that was the only time anyone reported seeing the creature, but come on, the description is just too good of a match. Maybe it's an individual. He's just been wandering around Lake Michigan for 50 years.
Yeah, maybe. Plus, I have to think if there were more creatures of that size, there would have to be more sightings. Or at least more people finding tracks. They're kinda hard to miss.
Definitely. When the piazza was loose, you saw how many people reported it.
There was something else, too.
What do you mean?
Well, when we finally saw it, I sensed...
What?
Well, it was... calm. No, that's not quite right. Unsurprised? No. Recognition. Almost like it knew us. Sorry, these things are hard to put into words.
That's okay, but recognition? I think I would have remembered seeing that thing.
Yeah.
So it's weird. As usual, the enigma strikes again.
Field notes. Dewey Lake Monster. Despite not seeing this creature around the aforementioned Dewey Lake, I do feel comfortable enough in the similarities to identify this creature as the Dewey Lake Monster. Or at least a very similar entity. Anyway, the Dewey Lake Monster looked similar to Sasquatch, only with some notable differences. First off, it was much bigger. As best as I can tell, the creature stood around 10 feet tall. Compared to Sasquatch, its head was much larger, although I couldn't see any facial features because its entire body was covered in incredibly long, shaggy fur. The fur was brown, although a little darker than that of Sasquatch. Proportionally, the creature had broader shoulders and a shorter torso. Combined with its size, this made the creature seem even larger than it already was. Its arms were also slightly longer, almost like that of a normal ape. It's possible that the creature can walk on all fours in addition to its bipedal gait. Like Lucas said, this creature is most likely an individual. I can't imagine an entire species this large going unnoticed. Then again, who knows what the enigma is really capable of? End field notes.
The Cryptid Cases has been a production of Little Giant Monsters.
If you enjoyed the show, please consider leaving a review on iTunes or tell a friend. It really helps others find the show.
If you'd like to follow us on social media, search for Little Giant Monsters on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. You can also visit our website, littlegiantmonsters.com.
Check out any of these pages to see other projects we're working on, as well as a new Cryptid sketch every Monday after the new episode.
Thanks for listening, and see you again soon.